Hello fam, and welcome back to the channel. This would be the concluding part of this tutorial. In the previous video we showed the drafting process of this funnel corset, and in this tutorial we will be showing the sewing process. But guys, before we go on, if you are yet to subscribe to the channel, hit on the subscribe button right away and join the family. Give the video a like as soon as possible, and let's begin. As you can see, I have used my patterns to cut out the fabric, and I also cut out the lining as well. And for the fabric, I attached air stay to it to give it more strength and stability. So apart from the center front and the furthermost area of the side front, I left 0.5 inch stitching allowance to all the areas where I'm going to be attaching the fabrics together. Just like this area now, I cut it and left 0.5 inch allowance for stitching allowance. So now I'll be pinning all the areas together just like it would be on the pattern, okay? So I'm just going to pin all the areas together. I'm going to do this for the fabric as well as the lining. I will do it for both the front and the back part of the fabric we cut out, and I'll be taking it to my sewing machine as you would see next. Once I was done pinning, I took the fabric to the sewing machine and I stitched down all those areas I pinned with 0.5 inch, and I'm going to do that for the lining as well. I have this strip of fabric that is 1.25 inches wide. And I have this regline boning, that is the sewable boning, that is 0.25 inches wide. Now is the time to attach the regline boning to the fabric we just joined together. So I'm going to be inserting the regline boning with the curve facing backwards, and I'm going to be encasing it on the wrong side of this fabric, okay? So I'm just going to flip the other end of the fabric in order to encase the boning. Now you're going to encase the regline boning in such a way that it's about 1 inch away from the edge of the strip of fabric, okay? So just bring it down to about 1 inch below, and then I'll bring in the fabric. And this is how the fabric that we joined together looks like. So you can see that on this strip of fabric there is an excess there. There is still an excess, despite the fact that the regline boning is inside. There's still an excess that doesn't contain the regline boning. So you see this seam here, that joining there. I'm going to be aligning that excess on that seam, okay? I'm going to be aligning the excess, like the edge of this strip of fabric now that doesn't have the regline boning there. I'm going to be aligning it on that line, that seam there, okay? And now I'll be stitching on that excess without the regline boning, and I'll be following the seam to do this. Now as we approach the hem, we are not going to be stitching up to the hem, okay? We're going to leave that area with about 1 inch towards the hem, okay? You can see that I didn't stitch up to the hem, okay? So we just left that area and just secured our stitches. So now that we're done stitching the excess along the seam, we are going to be flipping the boning to the left side. That was why I told you to place your boning with the curve backing you, okay? Because we are still going to flip it to the left side. So now I'm going to be flipping this boning to the left side, okay? Now when I flip it to the next side, I still have a little bit of excess, okay? So I'm going to be stitching on top of that that tiny bit of excess that I have. Now if you don't have any excess left after stitching the excess on the right side, that is fine. You can still stitch on top of the regline boning. You have a lot of choices because you're using a regline boning. So I'll just be stitching on top of the tiny excess left, and I'll just be doing that all the way down. And still, you are going to stop 1 inch away from the hemline. I'll tell you why. I stopped stitching 1 inch away from the hemline because I want that area to be free, so I can easily cut out the regline boning with about 1 inch away from the hemline as well. As you know, we would still be sealing up the entire corset when we're done, and we don't want our regline boning to stand in our way. And would also cut out the excess strip of fabric. Now we'll be attaching our regline boning to all the seams of both the front and the back fabrics. Now that I've finished attaching the regline boning on all the seams, I want to give this corset more strength and rigidity, and I want to insert plastic boning inside the seams of that regline boning. Now you can just leave this regline boning as it is, like you can just leave it without even putting plastic boning. But if you want the corset to be more firm, if you want it to be more rigid, if you want the tightening effect to be really stable, then you may need to put in a plastic boning. So inside where we attached the regline boning, I would just be inserting the plastic boning. Now you can see the way I inserted the plastic boning, the curve is actually facing me. So that is what you are going to do on any area you feel like you want to give more strength to. So I will just do this on all the areas I want to do it. Now I'm not doing this for all the areas where I put in the regline boning. I'm just looking for focal areas where I'm going to do this. So you can choose where you want to put in the plastic boning. I have the wrong side of the lining facing me, and I have my regline boning with a curve facing me, just like a letter C. Now I will begin aligning the regline boning on top of that funnel looking area. I will just align it from one end to the other. But when I'm aligning it, I'm going to go down by about ½ an inch to align it, because I don't want the regline boning to interfere with the sewing later on. So let me just show you how I did this on the sewing machine. Not only did I go down by 0.5 inch on this edge, I also went down by 0.5 inch on this other edge, and I'll start stitching. And as I approached the end, I stopped sewing at about 0.5 inch away from the edge. And so I would cut out the excess regline boning. I will also be running another stitch at the lower part of the regline boning. So after stitching the regline boning, this is what I have. This is how the regline boning looks like on the lining. It actually followed the pattern we drafted. So I would bring back the front and the back parts of the fabric, and I would just align the sides together. I would begin taking my measurements. So I would just take out the additional allowance we gave when we're drafting the pattern. So I'm going to be marking down 2 inches, which was the allowance we gave when we're drafting, and I'll just do that at all the areas, you know, the bust, the waist, and the hem. I would use my marker to connect all the points, and I'll take it to my sewing machine and shape the corset through this line. And for the lining, just the way I shaped the front by 2 inches, I will also be shaping the sides by 2 inches as well. I have shaped up both the lining and the fabric, and now I will be placing the right side of the lining on top of the right side of the fabric. So I'll just align all the edges together to make sure that they are equal. I'll be pinning this down. Now that I've finished pinning, I'm going to stitch on top of this funnel looking area. I will stitch the sides as well, and I will stitch this other side as well, but I won't be stitching the hem so that it will be easy for me to turn it over to the right side. So guys, I have finished stitching all the areas I mentioned earlier, and this is what it looks like. At this stage, just go ahead and give this a good press. Iron this in such a way that the shape of the pattern is reflected on how this corset turns out. At the edge here, I stitched down 3 lines because I wanted to create channels, 2 for my boning and 1 for my eyelets, and I did that on the other side as well. Now I'll be taking my plastic boning and I'll be using my scissors to blunt out the sharp edges of this boning so that it doesn't poke me when I put on the corset. Now if you have a lighter, you can also use it to blunt out the sharp edges. Now I will be inserting my plastic boning into these 2 channels I created. Now let me tell you why you need to insert bonings in these areas. If you do not insert bonings here, the dragging, the tightening of the waist and the loops, when you're dragging the loops, it would cause a strain on your fabric, which may end up tearing your fabric or making that area weaker. But this boning you put into the channels would help that area to be very firm and rigid. Remember, do not allow the plastic boning to get up to the hem of the fabric. Drag it out by about 1 inch and then cut it out. As you can see, I have finished inserting my plastic boning into all these areas I mentioned. I also did that on this other side as well. So I have this fabric that I have already ironed both sides of it together. So I would place it on the hem of this corset, and I would use this fabric to pipe the whole hem of this corset. So I could place it outside, I could place it inside, but I want to place it inside and turn it to the other side. Like I want to turn it to the right side, okay, after I place it inside. So I'll just take it all around and I'll come back and show you what I did. I have finished piping the hem of the corset, and this is how it looks like. You can see how the insides look like, and this is how the outer part of the corset looks like. Now for the bustier, I would be bringing my lining and placing the right side on top of the right side of the bustier, and I'll be stitching across the top. I will be stitching the sides as well, and even the base as well. However, I will be leaving a little opening where I will turn it to the right side. So if you want to see how I worked on this bustier, I have a tutorial on that, so just click on this link if you are interested in the tutorial. I have already lined the bustier, and this is how it looks like. So I would be inserting my bustier in the funnel looking area just the way it was when we were drafting the pattern. Now if you need to follow the pattern, use the pattern as a guide to work your way around this, that is fine. So just arrange this bustier in a way that you deem fit. You can use pins to hold it down at first, and later on you may use your needle or you may use your sewing machine to hold it down firmly. So I'm just going to do this and I'll show you the result. So at this area in between both bonings, you are going to be inserting your eyelets. That is where the loops would go through in order to tighten the corsets. After you must have been done inserting your eyelets, then we can say we are practically done with the corset. So guys, we have come to the end of this tutorial. If you found this tutorial impactful, please do not leave without giving it a like. If you're yet to subscribe to the channel, hit on the subscribe button ASAP and join the family. Do well to share this video to whoever needs it, and I'll be seeing you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.